I can't focus on my work.
Are you distracted because we live in a giant sphere that's spinning in the middle of nowhere?
Maybe.
You want to talk about religion? Let's talk about space religion.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
Now, one thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go.
Jack, don't worry, Mom. I saw it on TV. See? It's okay. You saw it on the television.
Seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
We got a roll program.
Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading. Plus 30 seconds.
Roll complete and pitch program.
Altitude's 2 miles.
Oh, 11 Houston, you're good at 1 minute.
Downrange 1 mile, altitude 4 miles now. Velocity 2,195 feet per second.
White Truth Right is about a future movie or something coming out, or?
No.
Okay.
It's not about any movie. It's not about the movies I've made in the past. It's a confession of sorts.
Okay. I mean, about you cheated on your wife, you plagiarized.
I would never do that, no.
Plagiarized something.
It's about a movie I made that nobody is aware of, even though they've seen it.
Okay.
Is that intriguing? Do I have you intrigued?
Well, I mean, see if I understand what you said. It's about a movie you made, no one knows you made. Is that what you said?
That's right. It's a production.
Like, some of you put, like, you didn't put your name on it? Like, at the end, you put, like, a fake name?
Oh, no, I made it.
Like Alan Smithy, like that
That's
sort of
right.
thing?
No, I didn't. There was no name put on it.
Why? Why would there be no credits? What do you mean?
Because there are some things that you just can't put your name on.
Okay. But,
I perpetrated a huge fraud, which I am now about to detail.
Okay.
Involving the United States government and NASA.
All right.
And I'm sure you've heard the rumors.
The moon landing hoax?
That's right. That the moon landing was fake. The moon landings all were fake. And I was the person who filmed it.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were...
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were...
We walked out of the room, and President Nixon said, I've decided to do that, and I need you to do this job. We're going to do it. It was just amazing. So we were trying to figure out who would do what when. He simply has got to have the person he wants in that job. And it has to be someone who's capable of doing it, and it has to be somebody he knows well. I said, I'd like to talk to one person. And he said, who?
Donald Rumsfeld was the first to propose Stanley Kubrick.
The film would have to be perfect, but the set could never be built in time. The filming of 2001: A Space Odyssey was drawing to a close in a suburb of London. Why not use the sets there? Rumsfeld was sure that Kubrick would not refuse. During the Kennedy administration, the White House had granted him special authorization to access strategic areas of the Pentagon during the preparations for the film Dr. Strangelove. Kubrick owed them. I told Mr. Nixon it's very dangerous to lie in the United States. You can't pull a con like that in a democracy. Too many people would talk. It would be absurd. But he said, almost sadly, go ahead anyway. Rumsfeld offered to go and negotiate personally with Stanley Kubrick. He and Henry Kissinger flew to England that same evening. Kubrick was surprised and amused by the idea, but began by refusing. Rumsfeld wouldn't give up. We're only asking you to do one thing. Just leave us the keys to the studio for one weekend, just so we can shoot a bit of film and take a few shots. Everything will be tidied up again by Monday morning. Kissinger flattered him, telling him that Dr. Strangelove was one of Nixon's favorite films. In the end, Kubrick agreed. The fake footage would be shot in England in the MGM studios near Boreham Wood with a skeleton crew. The 2 technicians and 2 actors would be CIA agents. To guarantee their trustworthiness, all had to be single men without family ties. They would sign a contract committing themselves to perpetual silence about the whole affair. Once the filming was over, they would have to disappear. But Stanley Kubrick was a perfectionist. Faced with the CIA crew's lack of professionalism, he ended up, against his better judgment, supervising the shooting of the fake moonwalk. But, he told them, from Monday morning, you're out of my life for good.
About the movie The Shining by Stanley Kubrick, and my theory, of course, is #1 featured in it, and I was reluctant when I first did it because I thought they were going to treat me shabbily, and they didn't, and the critics, however, have not treated me too well. But what's interesting about it is that not only is it playing in theaters all over the country right now, but and not only is it a decent film, although
room 237.
Yeah, room 237.
Okay. Yeah.
There's everyone has a different theory about The Shining.
Yeah.
I think my theory combines all the other theories except for what I consider to be the most ridiculous theory in the movie, which is the theory that The Shining was about the Holocaust. I mean, I fell off my chair laughing so hard when I read that one. I thought the moon landing theory at least has evidence behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been an interesting experience and very useful for the whole getting out the truth about Stanley Kubrick. So I appreciate it. And what's interesting about it is that Stanley Kubrick's assistant Leon Vitali, who was with him for the last 28 years of his life,
he knows.
He had an article, an interview in the New York Times, I believe it was not last Sunday, the Sunday before, in which I was mentioned among the theories, and he virulently denied every one of the theories, except for one, which he decided not to mention hardly at all, which happened to be my theory.
Very good.
And, and you can tell more by what people don't say than what they say.
Yeah.
And he's ripping up the Holocaust theory. He's ripping up the, all the theories that were presented. And then, he doesn't hardly mention, somebody just brought an Apollo 11 sweatshirt on the set that day. I'm like, yeah, right. Stanley, who, wrote down, every single thing that should happen on the set, would just let someone bring a sweater up on the set that day and put it on the kid.
237. In the book, The Shining, the room number is 217, but for the film, Kubrick changed it to 237. Here's the true reason why. The Moon, the natural satellite of Earth visible by reflection of sunlight and traveling around Earth in a slightly elliptical orbit at an average distance of about 381,600 kilometers. The American Heritage Science Dictionary. 381,600 kilometers converted to miles is 237,000. Room 237 represents the moon. Danny enters room 237, the moon room. This is where Stanley Kubrick films the Apollo 11 moon landing.
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
You want me to knock you in the head?
Well, I want you to swear to God on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Okay.
If you walked on the moon, we're given the opportunity to swear to God that you walked on the moon.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to get the hell knocked out of you if you don't leave me alone.
So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Seibel, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy. Why don't you talk to the administrator at NASA? We're passengers. We're guys going on a flight. I don't hit people, but you're going to be on the deck unless you get...
I'm heading out. I appreciate it.
And get the hell out of the Black House.
Well,
take your stuff and get the fuck out. Why don't you quote me and say it's bullshit?
When the shadow's in the wrong place, I don't give a damn about all that shit.
Of lunar orbit being falsified.
Being falsified?
Correct. We got an unedited tape from a source at the Johnson Space Center.
Yes. Totally nonsense. Mr. Seibel, you do not deserve answers.
If you show this publicly, you're open for a lawsuit. Okay?
We're talking about Apollo, and let's not even talk about whether or not we went there. Let's just talk about the Cold War and the fact that we had to go there. We had to succeed. We couldn't take a chance on not succeeding. Exactly. A tremendous black eye. So to guarantee success, what's the obvious thing to do? You recreate it. You stage it. So you've got it to release in case something goes wrong. And then they got to the point, obviously, where they said, well, why take a chance at all? Let's just go with what we've got in the can. That's my guess, anyhow.
Yeah, and, you know, the more that you examine it, the more actually ludicrous the whole thing gets, to the point where it's almost a comedy.
So I keep digging a little bit deeper, and I finally get underneath this cloud cover here, and a few images pop up. And I say, oh, images, what are they? Well, this is what you got, which I'm sure that looks familiar to you, right? Looks just like the pictures they give us of Mars. So I'm just kind of creeping around here and definitely noticing the same kind of undulation changes and same kind of rock, same kind of dirt. Only thing that's missing is that nice little red tint that they pay somebody $150,000 a year to put on there. So I say, I wonder what they're doing out here. What is all this equipment for? I'm sure it can't be NASA, right? Whose orange Hummer is this? Okay, that looks like a NASA symbol. Cameras set up, tents, ATVs, food. They've been there a while. It's not a one-day trip. Got their antennas set up out in the middle of nowhere in Greenland.
Things seem to finally be coming together with the moon landing. We were there on the surface of another planet. You could see it on TV. Well, first it was projected onto a silver screen, and then the TV cameras were allowed to film off the silver screen, because obviously you wouldn't want the real footage. I mean, if you want to go back and look at the real footage of the initial moon landing, you can't, because it's been taped over by NASA, and no one was fired, no one was punished. Of course, they want to get rid of the evidence. Now at this stage, a band of Apollo faithful will be howling in protest, "We did go to the moon!" Then why did nothing come of it? Why have we not been back in 40 years? The Apollo faithful will say, "Oh, it's budget priorities, we've been there, we've done that, it's not economical to mine on the moon." That just doesn't hold water. That's a load of rubbish. We haven't been back to the moon because we never went there in the first place.
So this one here said, roving the Arctic. So what is that? Doesn't make any sense. Pop in here. See if we can find anything. Again, same kind of mountains. That looks like the same kind of water I've seen before that I thought was water on Mars. Who knows? Zoom in, what's that? Oh, nothing. Just looked like it was funny. So I'll keep kind of going through here and see if it... What the... Yeah. So. I think I found out where Mars is, guys. It's just about 1,000 miles north of me. Not quite the distance that NASA says. But I can't find anybody who's in charge of this. They must be hiding behind these rocks. Oh no, there they are out in front of everybody. Just standing there. Lovely. Clown number 1, clown number 2, and clown number 3.
He was playing with the water, with the paddles, the hydro repellent paddles. So he was bouncing the glob of water between the two paddles, and one of the community noticed that his eyes were not following the frickin' water. They were jumping into places that he had it for a little bit, and then after that his eyes were completely out of sync with the water droplet.
But when those guys were playing ping pong back and forth with the water, you'll notice that the girl always is looking above the camera. And the reason why is because they're looking at the CGI feed. You know, they need to see where the item is that they're playing ping pong with because it's not right in front of them. So once I saw Helmick's video, I really, it opened my eyes even more to, okay, because every time I've watched those astronauts, they appear to be watching a monitor above the camera, which, okay, I could see doing that. But on the other hand, if you're just up in space giving an interview or playing ping pong or whatever you're doing, then you would have no reason to look at a monitor. It doesn't matter. The camera's on you, you know that, so it doesn't matter what you look like. You shouldn't care about that, but they're always very concerned with that monitor. Well, that tells me why. It's when they're using props.
All right, let's check out some of these other pictures. I saw another one over here. This one says Drill Hill. All right. This one here. Totally looks like the Mars terrain to me. Just need the red filter. Yeah, if you go look at Mars pictures, go to Gigapan or any site that has, you can even go to nasa.gov and look at all their Mars frauds. Check out those images. They're identical to these. Yeah, this is very empty here. Oh, there's one of those ATVs. All right, now we're on to something. Oh, I got another truck. Oh yeah, it says NASA. What's that say? Mars Project? This thing's just driving around taking pictures. Unbelievable. Actually, if you ask me, it's quite believable. But what do you think? Are they sending scientists up on ATVs to practice on the rover in a remote island in Greenland? I doubt that, highly.
Here's another scene with Catherine Katie Coleman. Seems to be done in the suspended mode. Have a look at her hair. There's something odd about her hair. I know this is zero gravity and hair is supposed to stick out and go all over the place, but her hair doesn't really flop around naturally. It's always sticking out kind of rigidly. Maybe they permed it in that position, or perhaps they're hanging her upside down. As she shakes her head from side to side slightly, you can see the hair always springs back to a particular position with respect to her head. It should flop all over the place.
Here's iJustine. She has a vlog of her hair flows in the air, as it would, because the hair is moving through air. So it's gonna flow as you bounce around. And on the International Space Station, this does not happen with the women. They do flips, they lay down, they do all kinds of things. They bounce from here to there, they pretend they're Superman, Their hair will never look like that.
In this scene, Chris Hadfield bends down in order to adjust something, and you can see on the back of his shirt a couple of upticks on either side where you would expect wires to come in on either side of that harness in order to support it. Of course, they've computer graphicked out the supporting wires. You can't actually see them.
It's a Chinese spacewalk. A bubble rises in the pool. It's complete fraud. Here the helmet gets hit on the International Space Station and a bubble rises into the pool. And it takes an odd trajectory because it's in a water pool. Houston, we have a problem. Space is broken. Sorry, U.S. government. I have to show them the bubble. There's the bubble in the pool that we just saw. Yep, doesn't even go in a straight line. It's in a water pool. Takes a very odd trajectory because the water is actually moving around. It's not still.
Now check this video out. The whole video is about a minute long. I said 45 seconds before was the maximum for full motion mode. It may be more like a minute that they can do this full motion zero gravity mode, because then the airplane finishes its parabolic trajectory. It has to dip down for a short period of time. There's double the gravity. Anyway, have a look at the end of this, and there's a strange motion to the center. Take a look at the way it moves. It kind of skips out of her control a couple of times. First it dips down and then up a little bit, and then at the end it goes up a little bit, and she kind of looks a bit embarrassed, like she's been caught putting her hands in the cookie jar. Oops, I hope you didn't see that. No, we didn't see, Katie. Just keep the beautiful smile on your face, and that'll distract us from the hoax.
So, in this clip, they're talking, live feed, and we have a astronaut go by us in the background, obviously trying to give it a more realistic, spacey, station busy effect. And so we see the guy come flying along in a harness on his wires. Pretty amazing.
At the time of the Apollo 11 mission, Buzz Aldrin was a 32-degree Freemason. They were in good company, as many of NASA's astronauts were also Freemasons.
One of the ways we promote ourselves among Masons, a reason to join, is we consider ourselves the University of Freemasonry. And the real emphasis in the Scottish Rite is on receiving more light, learn more about the history of our world.
We always indulge in a few pagan rites to appease the EVA gods. These little ceremonies are very, very important to ensure mission success if you do them right.
Another aspect of the illusion of space travel is space walks. These are faked inside a swimming pool. It's a custom-built swimming pool, and that's a great way to fake zero gravity. About 6 months ago, in 2013, a gallon of water leaked into one of their spacesuits in a matter of seconds. NASA doesn't really have a proper explanation for how on earth this could have happened. There shouldn't be water leaking into someone's helmet and a person almost drowning in space. How can you drown in space? They now wear snorkels to make sure that they don't drown in space. How can this be happening? A snorkel in space? There could be some water in the porous plate sublimator. When they were on the moon, they supposedly had about a gallon of water, but that cooling system is supposed to be well away from their head. There really is no sane explanation for why a gallon of water would leak into someone's spacesuit, unless you realize the whole thing is faked inside a swimming pool, which is the faking of spacewalks in a swimming pool. In this vid, you catch a glimpse of someone wearing a scuba tank Scuba tanks in space? Snorkels and scuba tanks in space? They act like a spacewalk is just a walk in the park, like there's very little danger involved at all.
And then they also pretend that it travels in all the same trajectory, and this thing just scoops everything up. And then it has a claw that can grab big pieces of space debris, and then little pieces of space debris get caught on the sides by panels. Of course, there's no in-between. Do they catch the middle-sized pieces of space debris with the box? And then Debris Drone 1 does not send the package down to Earth to get incinerated. No, the whole thing goes down to Earth to become incinerated, and it's fucking useless. So, because they say there's over 500,000 pieces of space debris, they have to send thousands of space debris drone 1s. But the important thing about this is the camera. They show you a camera on this satellite drone. So somebody is operating that claw and they're getting this space junk. Why can't you see the video from this camera? This thing has a camera. Wouldn't you like to see this thing in operation? Here's a beautiful detailed image from that model. You can see that huge swirl of clouds between Australia and Africa, and there it is on the model. And the crazy thing about this is when you type Earth from space in the image search, Earth from space, not NASA composite computer model of the Earth, literally Earth from space, which means you want to see pictures of the Earth from space in the image search. These images will come up over and over and over again, and the sick thing is, they show this model in documentaries about space. They show this to you, the same model with the same clouds. They don't even change it. Here's a picture of Jupiter and the Earth. It's not a real picture, it's an illustration, but see, it's the Apollo 17 image of Earth. It's over 40 years old, and they still use it for illustrations in modern times. Here's another image that somebody put together, and they used the Apollo 17 image of Earth from space, which you've been seeing literally your entire life over and over and over again. And your kids, as they go to school, they see this image in their science books. There it is, used again. In modern times, it's over 40 years old. It's going to be 50 years old soon.
How do you brainwash? Well, you repeat it. You repeat the same thing over and over again. You know, if somebody's resisting the concept, if you keep fucking repeating it, after 6 times, they'll incorporate it in their brain. They may not agree with it, but repeat it another 1,000 times, they'll start saying it. It's funny, back in the 60s when they went to the moon, this is the first time we actually had like an instrument of flight to actually go high enough to actually fucking check out if what we agreed to 500 years ago was real. So if they were wrong after 500 years, the question is, would they tell you?
Bouncing, obviously, you know, with something's helping him a little bit, right? Lifting up just a little bit higher.
I know the footage.
Yeah, as he artfully goes behind a small rock, all of a sudden he takes this huge leap, right? And there's a trampoline on the other side of that rock. That's what's going on there. So Kubrick is using wires, he's using trampolines, he's using slow motion, he's using anything he can to put forth the effect.
Here's like a perfect example of them landing on the moon. I mean, it's proof right there. This is an official NASA photo of the first Apollo 11 lunar module landing on the moon. I mean, it's right there. This is proof, man. It's the picture's right there. It's landing on the moon. But the only problem I have with this picture is that it's taken from the moon. I don't know what the big deal was with being the first guy on the moon. It seems the camera crew was already there.
A warning about a cult of pedophiles.
He was trying to warn.
Yes. It starts with Lolita.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it goes all the way through to Eyes Wide Shut. It's constantly trying to warn us that there's a cult of people trying to take our children.
It's the cult, and it's here.
It is the cult.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're at work, and they're not going to stop. They're relentless.
Oh no, and they've got less to fear now than they ever had. They own the judges, they own the courts, they own everything.
They are on the
they are
pulling
literally
the final switch.
That's right.
From there, that point of view I've never seen, and it's funny when you click on Google Images, photo of the Earth, keep going, because this is realistic. But you'll see 40 pages on Google, but it's always the same fucking photo. It's the same photo. They just changed the contrast. Check it out, keep going. Oh yeah, boom, 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 40 pages. Look closely. It's always the same. Oh, what is that? I guess this is a photo of the Hubble telescope taking a picture of itself. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's an authentic photo of the Hubble telescope out there doing its job. Isn't that amazing how they could take a photo of the thing taking photos? Out in outer space. Unbelievable. This is a moon they discovered off of Mars. Opipapa, and if you do a close-up on it, you see all the craters and the texture of the moon on my shirt. There it is. It's just that. It's just a bunch of paint. Next image. And they actually came up with a new term for it. It's a collisionary supernova. Unbelievable that they actually caught this. If you get a zoom in on this, there's a zoom in that Hubble did on this. These are actual fucking suns being formed. Unbelievable. Look at this. All these fucking suns. Can we get another? Keep going. And they're being formed on a Christmas tree.
Yeah, and this all results from, the early 50s when they studied in the MK Ultra programs. And they were studying how to influence people and how to get them to do what they want you to do. And, and that's when it began. It began with, in the early 50s and reached the turning point in the 90s. And now we're in this place where they're going to start enacting the most absurd thing. And we're not going to be able to stop them. And for sure they're going to come and take the guns. And to me, it looks like a fait accompli. It's coming. It may not be next year, but it's coming. We're all going to be outlaws. Anyone with a gun is going to be an outlaw very soon.
Sure.
And we have to decide what that means.
Oh, this is amazing. We just went to Mars. Hey, big round of applause now for the Americans going to Mars. And this is the official image of them landing there. It's fucking funny. It's like, isn't it amazing how they were landing there and they already had an airbrush artist with his easel set up to paint it land that quick. It's unbelievable. How many people think this is real? This is the official landing. Oh, then they got another one with a metal sort of pipe and sand in black and white. That's proof. They were there, man. They're landing on the sand. Check it out. That's it. There you go, some more images. This is what they're doing on Mars right now. Moving around with their little rover. That's a real photo. Look at that. This is another. I swear to God, they're on Mars right now. Look at that. This thing's moving around. I don't even know what it does. It's like a weird sort of sample collector. It's a spider. It's a spider sampler. It's a spider sampler. Sand sampler. It's a sand sampler. They call it.
It's getting spice.
It's getting spices from Mars.
You're serious and. Okay.
I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
Because I only have this certain amount of time with you, and I'll talk about whatever you want. This isn't some type of joke or film within a film thing.
Not a joke. Nope.
Okay.
The conspiracy theorists were right on this occasion.
Why?
I don't know about Paul McCartney's death, but they were right about it.
Okay. Why in God's name would I don't know what to ask you first. Why the hell? If you're telling the truth, why would you do it? Why are you telling me? I mean, what the...
Don't you think it's important for people to know the truth?
Yeah, yes, certainly.
They had a massive fraud, an unparalleled fraud perpetrated against them. They should know.
Okay.
I mean, they're already suspicious of the government. They may as well have their suspicions confirmed.
Okay.
And justified.
And this, why now? I mean, we're almost at the 30-year anniversary. What took so long? Why, if this is true, why?
I won't go into that. It has to do with personal.
Okay.
Evolution and influences.
And, well,
I'll go into that.
Is that why you look a little haggard right now? Because you look a little worn. No offense.
Well, also, yeah, because I haven't been taking care of myself too well. I've been drinking a lot, but
Is that because of the stress of this?
Of course, stress, guilt, just conflict of all kinds.
Wow, I mean, so you feel bad about this, clearly. I mean, this is not...
I do feel bad about it. I also feel proud of it. It's a terrible conflict.
Because you've pulled off one of the greatest hoaxes ever because of your...
And because I made a film, if you want to call it a film, which I consider to be my masterpiece.
And you can't take credit or even talk about it
Well,
you are now.
I'm hereby taking credit.
Right, but you can't actually go out. You're doing, when people see this, you'll be dead.
Until 10 years.
Right, or
15
15, yeah.
After my death.
So you can't talk to Roger Ebert about it, you know. Does that frustrate you?
I have to pay the consequences for the decision that I made many years ago to go along with this.
Like a deal with the devil.
It's Faustian, to be sure.
Because, and is that why you got such power in Hollywood? I mean, that would explain that.
Why I have the freedom I have, that was part of it, yes.
So they said, do this moon thing and we'll give you...
When I made Spartacus, I didn't have this kind of freedom.
Right.
But I have it now.
So what came first, the genius or the fraud?
NASA's doing.
Well, what came first, the genius or the fraud? I mean, did the fraud enable the genius, or was the genius released
Well, I'd
by
like
the fraud?
to think the genius came first.
Right.
But some frauds are hard to bypass, especially if you have an ego and you're an artist and you're presented with a challenge, the likes of which you've never seen and will probably never see again. You don't even think of the morality of it. You're just completely swept away by the flattery of it and the juices inside you, which make you want to do it as the artist you are innately. You don't think of anything else.
What a conflict. I mean, gosh, I can't imagine being presented with that opportunity. On one hand, I really would want to do it, but then I'd probably say, well, I'm committing a crime and lying and...
It depends, but my guess would be, no, if you're good, you would do it. I discussed this with Levinson, Barry Levinson.
Right.
I discussed it with...
Oh, he made Wag the Dog, right? Yeah.
Yes. Spielberg, of all people, believe it or not, yes.
So wait, Wag the Dog...
Coppola, Scorsese, even Woody Allen I discussed. There isn't one of them who wouldn't do this.
Also, I can't help but, as standing in front of the JPL, thinking about the letters JPL, and think that Jack Parsons wanted to name it a little bit after him. He's got his initials in the JPL, Jack Parsons Laboratory, not just the Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
John Parsons is known by several names. He was born under the name Marvel Whiteside Parsons and soon became involved in the occult. Charles Taze Russell, who invented the Jehovah's Witness movement in America, predicted that the beginning of the end of the world would commence on October 2nd, 1914. On this very day, rocket scientist John Parsons, better known in occult circles as Jack Parsons, was born. A brilliant rocket engineer, Parsons soon entered into correspondence with SS Nazi officer Werner von Braun, and by the age of 13 had begun summoning evil spirits and demons using magical rituals which Parsons had learnt from British occultist Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley styled himself as the Beast, and Jack Parsons referred to Aleister Crowley as his father.
Dam in Pasadena, or rather outside Pasadena. I don't know where the hell we are, but
The locals call it So Pass, or No Pass.
No Pass. We're in No Pass, yeah, we're at Devil's Gate Dam. It's a spooky place. Lots of connections with ritualistic things happening in the area, as evidenced by the plethora of pentagrams, graffitiing the place. This was also a favorite haunt of Jack Whiteside Parsons. He was a rocket scientist for JPL. He was one of the guys credited with putting us on the moon. Blew himself up in 1952 under mysterious circumstances, and before that, basically catapulted us into the current flying saucer wave post 1947.
He was a devotee of Aleister Crowley. Set up a branch here in Pasadena of the OTO called the Agape Lodge, and operated out of his home, which has been dubbed the Parsonage. And as legend has it, we get into the UFOs again. In 1946, he and L. Ron Hubbard, of all people.
To really know life, you've got to be part of life.
Founder of Scientology, which also seems to be a religion based on extraterrestrials if you dig deep. Out in the Mojave Desert, at one part in this Babylon working, the design of which was to call down a magical child and impregnate the woman who would take part in the ceremony. They originally, at the beginning, they didn't have somebody to do that. They were hoping she would come along. One of their rituals, once again, supposedly happened in the Mojave Desert, where they called down some type of entities, and people have suggested they opened a door or portal that they weren't able to close. Once again, this was 1946. The entities they called down or made contact with were Venusians. It's unclear, but a lot of people have identified ETs. So that was 1946. The following year started the modern era of UFOs with Kenneth Arnold sightings, the Roswell crash. All that happened. So some people suggest that, Parsons and Hubbard opened the door and something flew in. Insert the creepy organ music there.
Yeah, and speaking of doors, we're right outside, as you can see, the Devil's Gate, which is just an open portal into some sort of works associated with the dam, obviously. But the story is that it's also an opening to another area, another dimensions, another what have you. And it you can see from all the graffiti, as Bill said, and all the activities around it, people come down here to kind of experience it and see what's happening.
So that brings us to Marjorie Cameron. At one point during the Babylon working, according to Parsons' account, he had been in contact with Aleister Crowley. Crowley gave Parsons some direction on how to find the Scarlet Woman to do the Babylon working with. Shortly afterwards, according to Parsons, there was a crack of a bolt of lightning. Marjorie Cameron showed up on his doorstep, disheveled and confused, and he invited her in, and they ended up spending the next couple of weeks in bed and started a love affair and eventually got married. There's different accounts. Marjorie Cameron didn't remember it exactly like that, but she did note in later writings that the night she met Parsons at the parsonage, she witnessed a silver cigar-shaped UFO.
And that's not counting the interns. Our intern population over any given year is another about 1,100. Wow. Most of which come in the summer. About 700 are here in the summer.
And to Parsons, this was a sign that she was the chosen one. She also had flaming red hair, green eyes, so she fit perfectly the role of the Scarlet Woman. Later on, after Parsons died in the fiery demise, this is another connection to the early UFO contactees. Marjorie Cameron Parsons ended up near Giant Rock, living in Pioneer Town, which is, I don't know, half a mile or so from Giant Rock. And I was amazed to hear this. She became friends with George Van Tassel, and she was, during that period, was channeling or communicating with interdimensional beings as well. So there's this thread or this continuance of these contacts with ritual magic and UFOs over time.
While Jack Parsons worked and actually did his science over at the JPL, he came over to Devil's Gate Dam to do some of the Babylon working, or at least investigate some of that the mystical side of things in the occult. You think about science and alchemy. You know, Sir Isaac Newton, who created calculus and created all of these things that scientists go on to use, was an alchemist. And you know, I think back then it was really hard to separate what we would call hard science from squishy science.
Speaking of flying through space, you don't think the moon landing is real?
No, I don't. No. Do you?
Yeah.
Why do you think the moon landing is real? Why don't you tell me why?
I saw it on television.
Oh, you're a genius. Oh, beep that. Hit that.
We'll bleep it. No, it's okay. We got
That's genius. You saw it on TV? That's awesome. I'm going to show you some CGI. I'm going to show you King Kong. I saw that on TV, too. There's an 80-foot gorilla. He's running around kidnapping white chicks. You should check it out. 1972 was the last time a human being has been through the Van Allen radiation belt. 1972. That's the last time. There's been only 7 trips ever that human beings have ever gone past 400 miles. Every single space station mission, every space shuttle, every satellite, all of those are inside the protective Van Allen radiation belts, which start at 1,000 miles. They go from 1,000 miles to, depending on who you ask, if you ask NASA, 24,000 miles. If you ask James Van Allen, the guy who discovered it, it's 67,000 miles of intense radiation that's in a gigantic donut band that covers around the Earth. Now, even if you got outside of that band, you have to deal with solar cycles. There's the apex of a 20-year solar cycle was between 1969 and 1972. All the time when these guys are making those missions. Any one of those guys out there in those tiny little aluminum shielded crafts would have been killed instantly during any solar flare.
Why fake it?
Thank you,
Why fake it? Why not fake it?
You should open with that.
If you look at any of the footage online, it looks ridiculous. It looks stupid. If you look at the videos, it looks ridiculous and dumb. You know why? Because in 1969, nobody anticipated that we were going to have VCRs and the internet. We were going to be able to watch that. They figured out a way to fake it. That's why when Neil Armstrong got back, first of all, he went insane. They went into a deep depression. So did Buzz Aldrin. He became a huge alcoholic. They gave no interviews. Neil Armstrong still to this day will not give interviews. He gave one speech that he gave at the 25th anniversary of the moon landing. And this is what he said in front of America's best honor students. He said, "We have here amongst us America's best and brightest." And the quote was, "You will achieve many great things if you could peel away one of truth's hidden layers." That's a speech this guy gives standing in front of the top honor students of the country. Not, "I went to the moon." He doesn't say that. He gives this cryptic speech. Now, Bill Clinton, in page 100, I think it's 156 of his book, My Life, he gives this story about how when he was a kid, he was working with this carpenter. And this carpenter said, you know, "I don't believe man landed on the moon." It was 3 months after the moon landing. And he said, "I thought that guy was ridiculous." He said, "You know what? I don't believe anything those TV fellows show you." He said, "After 8 years in the White House, I thought maybe that guy was ahead of his time."
Wow.
This is in Bill Clinton's autobiography.
Wow.
This is in his book. There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way.
By the way,
it's impossible today.
Man cow.
There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way. There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way.
Neil Tyson, thank you very much for coming on here, man. This is an honor. This is a blast. I think the universe is going to explode. You are, for sure, the most requested podcast guest ever in the history of this podcast. So Brian and I have been doing this for 3 years, and we have come full cycle with your appearance here today.
Right.
No.
What happened?
Listen.
Joe, you were totally down you were the moon hoax crusader. I mean, something.
No.
What
Listen, man. Here's my issue. My issue is, how can I even argue it? How is it possible that I even have points?
Joe,
how is it possible that anybody could have any points?
You see, you see
I don't
Breezy
have that
right
kind of
there?
time,
He took
dude.
fucking all this shit.
I
in
hope
school.
someone did go to the moon. I hope someone did. I really do. I don't know if they didn't.
I have this feeling, man, because there's a handful of people actually run everything. That's true. It's provable. It's not I'm not a conspiracy nut. Proved. Handful, very small elite run and own these corporations, which include the mainstream media. I had this feeling who's ever elected president, like Clinton was, no matter what your promises you promise on the campaign trail, blah, blah, blah. When you win, you go into this smoky room with 12 industrialist, capitalist scumfucks who got you in there, and you're in this smoky room, and this little film screen comes down, and a big guy in a cigar, roll the film. And it's a shot of the Kennedy assassination from an angle you've never seen before. It looks suspiciously off the grassy knoll. And then the screen goes up and the lights come up and they go to the new president. Any questions? Just what my agenda is. 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 Just what my agenda is.
Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control.
Hello, look what I have. I have the lunar lander, one of the lunar landers that landed on the moon. This is definitely one of the lunar landers that landed on the moon. It's not something made for a school play by the art department or anything like this. So,
now what you're going to see here in a second is the Earth rising. So this is supposedly, according to NASA, and I'm going to take the volume so you can hear what they have to say. Let me just make sure this is loud enough. And then I'm not going to tell you what's wrong with this image. I want to see if you can get it. So let's first show this for a little bit. And again, I'm only going to show the sample.
Plus craters spreads out. The Earth came into view above the moon's horizon. This is the Earthrise, captured by the Kaguya's HDTV wide-angle camera. As the moon has no atmosphere, The outline of the slowly rising Earth is clearly visible.
We're going to make some observations. Observation number 1. No windows. So there's no air pressure on the moon, so they can't use a barometric altimeter. So how do they know how far they are from the surface of the moon? Don't know. Maybe this is why they didn't have to use this. The jet here in the bottom, you see how there is no little sign here of disturbance? There is no little crater or anything. No, it's because the gravity is only 1/6, so it could just fall gently. So, okay, so it falls gently.
The top of the Earth is north. We can clearly see the Arabian Peninsula.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. Now, you could watch this several times. Now, before I tell you what was wrong with this, I want to see who can pay attention to what is wrong with this as opposed to what we're being told. So in the comment section right now, right in the comment section, what is wrong with that image you just saw? Now, this isn't somebody's made up thing. This is actually a documentary based on a Japanese satellite reporting supposed Earthrise from the moon. So in the comment section, if you noticed anything, let's see what you write. So in the comment section, write down what you thought you saw. And I'm going to explain to you, this is basically the smoking gun that NASA is lying to us. And it's so funny because this stuff just fell into my lap because, you know, if you watch YouTube, a lot of times you'll go to the home part of YouTube and they'll give recommendings or suggestions. And it'll usually be what you're paying attention to and what you're focusing on. But every now and then there'll be just a different video that's totally out of the ordinary of what you've been looking at. And all of a sudden this stuff started falling into my lap. So I made a video just a few minutes ago, and if you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's about questioning things. So I'm like, you know what? Let me look up a couple more videos, see if I can find some more stuff. And this was the first one I saw. What a coincidence.
Now, let's have a closer look. Let's do this. And let's see. What material is this? What is this? With all this buckling. And let's look closer. Look. You see here at the top? They started with very good intentions. They said, we are going to make this look very neat and everything will be very great. Okay? And they have these bendy over things that they put a nail through. Dun, 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 dun. And then they just ran out. They ran out of them. So they just use a press-on stud. And here is a very important bendy thing. They had another one, so they use it here. And some more press-on stud. You can see by this shape here, the highlight here, you see, and a little bit of highlight here, compared to the low light here and the highlight here. You can tell that this is a thin material. It's not a thick material like drywall, plastering, something. No, no. This is more like parcel paper. Okay? So, another nail here, another nail here, another one here, and some more buckling. Look at this buckling. Whoa, it's like big S shape. So, and this here, somebody put this for a joke so that stupid people will think, oh, this must be very important, it must be some sensor. No, it was here for a joke. This is all. And whoever put it there will be laughing, or will, if he didn't die already. So this not look like very much like precision engineering. Look at this. It's a bit too big. And look, not even a straight line. So look here, again, a bit of mistake.
So I think there's been enough time. So if you're watching us right now, and again, I will rewind it and I'll just mute it. All right, so let's hit play. Now, that's supposed to be the Earth, right? Now you notice the moon is moving. Okay? Now, haven't we been told that the Earth spins thousands of miles per hour? Is it spinning at all? Look at that image. It's completely 100% still. According to what we've been told, the Earth is supposed to be spinning
There are two kinds of artists in the world. There are the artists that like to draw freehand, and then there are the artists that like to draw with a ruler. And artists that like to draw with a ruler, because they are jealous of the people that can draw freehand, so what they do is they make extra lines. They put extra angles like this. They like to do this. It's to compensate, so they do all these things just because they like to use the ruler, and they like to say, look, I can do octagonal shape here, and then I can work out how to do the shapes that converge on a point. And they are very proud of this. But this looked like it was designed by somebody who is kind of good with a ruler, but not very good with aesthetics, or not very good with dynamics, and not very good with fluid line. You can see there is no fluid line here. So now let's look at these here. See, one here, another one here, another one here. These multi-directional jets. Okay. Here there is a guard, because the jet is going to come out very hot and it's going to here. And there is another guard, because the jet is going to come very hot and go here, very hot. And here, there is no guard, but it's going to come here, just like this one, no? It's going to fall here, but no guard. It must have fallen off. Let's see. Maybe it's this here, but maybe it's here in the shadow and we cannot see it. I don't know, but there is definitely not here, because if you look how close the guard is to the bottom of this inverted cup, look how close there, look how close here, and look how it's not there at all. So,
Now, you said this is the North Pole, so it's supposedly on an angle. It's supposed to be spinning, shouldn't it? And yet, look at it. It's perfectly still. And as you could see, the video's still going, so I didn't pause this. So the moon supposedly is moving, as you could see. See how the image is moving past my the point? And yet, look at that. The Earth is not spinning at all. We're being lied to, ladies and gentlemen. Share this.
Now, let's look at one more thing. Do you see these things here, the padding here, with the press studs? This looks like a BMX guard for the crossbar, but it's too thick. It's not for a real BMX. But look, here, press stud. Okay. And here, press stud. But here, tape. And here, not even tape. This is like the rubber padding that you get for things. Can you see? You can see the gap there and there. Okay? And people will say, you're stupid, this is for heat resistance. It's like, okay, if this is for heat resistance, why they use cardboard here? This doesn't look like very heat resistance. And look here, this little pointy thing. If you look close, it looks like it's a peephole. It looks like somebody inside looking. Or maybe this is directional and somebody look and there's a little mirror here and they could see the lunar flow, and this is how they landed. And it doesn't matter about this big gap here or all the crimping, and it doesn't matter about all this. The stains, it doesn't matter about the stains. It doesn't look, this is definitely, it means that this definitely worked because you can see all this here. It's not like somebody spitting on it to make it look wet. No, don't be so silly. And look, all this precision engineering. I would like engineers to look at this and to write to me and tell me that this really is the result of precision engineering, especially the way that this overhang. Okay? And let's look some more. Oh yes, look. See all this gold here, framing this kind of thing, this bigger space there. Is this a hot dog? No, it's not a hot dog. But anyway, this with the buttons, something very important for him to do. In this part of the lunar lander that stayed on the moon, because this is the part that went off when the camera was filming, and people say, so who was using the camera? And people say, oh, it was the people in ground control controlling it remotely. Like, wow, mega long distance remote control, huh? But anyway, so this gold framing this box, this would have acted like a capacitor when they were going through the Van Allen radiation belt. So all this heating proofing here, it doesn't matter. This here would have made the whole thing melt. And all of this, everything, all of it, melt as they go through the Van Allen radiation belt. Either melt or lose the atomic bonding and make all of the atoms separate and fly off without association with another atom. Maybe, who knows? NASA doesn't. So yes. Now, even though I'm pointing this out, people will come to me and say, look, the reason they use black here is because it's very important. And here, if they didn't use black, they would have all died. And here, they didn't need black. Or here, or here. Or this little piece here, it didn't need black. Okay? People will still say to me, you're so stupid. They went out of the Earth in a rocket. And then they separated, and it separated into two units that were together. The other unit took this all the way to the moon, and then they separated from that unit, and then this landed, and the other unit carried on going around doing orbits of the moon, while this one was landing, and they were doing things on the moon. And then this one took off, and the top bit here attached again to the other one that was orbiting the moon, and the one that was orbiting the moon took them all the way back to the Earth. Okay, this is what people will still say, even when you show that this is like cardboard or maybe plaster for doing drywalling. Look at these lines, okay? Look, I'm looking to see if there's a lemon hanging from the top, like a Grissom, but no lemon. Look at this crimping, okay?
What you do from here is up to you. That, to me, is the smoking gun proof that we need, that they're showing images. Disprove that one. You want to hate me personally? That's fine. I'm not afraid to ask questions. But that Earth is not spinning. It's completely still. That is a fake image, and I call bullshit.
If you really think this went to the moon, and you think I am a retard for thinking this did not go to the moon, then maybe you should go and have your IQ evaluated. Well, not your IQ. Maybe your IQ is very high. You should have your common sense evaluated. Okay? Go to the people who like you the least and ask them what their opinion of you is. Whether they think that you are a well-balanced individual who has a normal sense of discernment. Okay? Now, let's look here. Look. Silver foil with copper tape. Look, here is closer. It must be very important that these three are closer. Okay? Dun, 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 all the way up. Let's look at the other one. Oh, it's not so important. There's not three here. Look. Three here together. Not three here together. So it's not so important. Oh, and look here. They must have finished the tape. They started with the other one, and here they finished. They just didn't have enough, so they could only do the half. Okay? And of course, you have to shield the legs, because if you don't shield the legs, then something really bad will happen. Maybe the moon have extra corrosive qualities, and it has to be shielded like this. Okay? So, don't question NASA, or question NASA and say, what have you been showing us? What have you been doing with the money? This looked like it was made by somebody's... There are two types of very intelligent people. There are some people who are very, very intelligent with academic smarts. Okay? I knew someone like this, very intelligent, but he could not change a light bulb. Okay? This looks like what that kind of person would do if they had to, maybe like 3 or 4 of them, had to build something like this. One of them, the one who likes to say that he's very good at designing, designed it, okay? And then somebody brought them materials and said, there you go, make it with this. So they made it. But look, you see how they didn't know to put a pin there so that this doesn't buckle? You see how they didn't know to maybe move this in a little bit so it doesn't overhang? And you see all the buckling here and all the warping, buckling and warping and everything. This is because they are not very good at doing things like changing a light bulb. So they can't make a lunar lander, but they had to make it because they are very, very smart. So they said, look, I'm not going to pay and make somebody sign a secret thing so that they will build a lander. They will think that we are inept and incapable and all kinds of things. So we will make it all ourselves. You have this thing? Hey, you know that thing that you showed me the other day? Yes, let's put this on here. Yeah, it will be very funny and people will think it's a sensor or something. And the bottom of it, don't worry about the bottom of it, okay? Don't worry. No, relax, don't worry. And what about the curtain rods? What about the curtain rods? Don't worry about the curtain rods. People will think it's an ultra powerful steel that we made especially for a metal alloy. We made especially for the lunar lander. We can sell a patent for it. We can get millions and billions. Yeah, and everything will be fine, okay? We will show this on television with bad quality. People will not be able to see all of this stuff. So, now that you have seen this, either you are an intelligent person and you think this went to the moon, or you are an intelligent person and you think this was made by people who are not very good at art and craft, certainly not by master engineers, and this did not go to the moon. You will either be one of the very intelligent people or the other one that is very intelligent people. If you're the kind of intelligent people who say, this look like shit, then you will think maybe they didn't go to the moon and it's all a big lie. Or you maybe are the other kind of intelligent person who says, it doesn't matter what it looked like, they still went to the moon. And all of these things, maybe they didn't have to be precise because of some reason that you can invent on the spot. On the spot, you will invent a reason. You will say, these shapes are necessary for things. And all of this is all necessary for things. And if it were not necessary, they would not be like this. This is called rationalization. And globe earthers love to rationalize. So, rationalize this. What the hell is this here? This tape that's going down to the floor and across and then up is clipped onto something here and then goes up and kind of disappears here. What is that? Oh, it must be something mega important. What's in this void? Must be something very mega important. What is this? Look, it's just like it's got buttons and things. Must be mega important. Never mind the laws of experimental physics and electronics that says the whole thing would have been electrified whilst it went through the Van Allen radiation belt. Ignore that. It doesn't matter. Look at this. It's not even covering that properly. Okay? And what is this bits of stuff there? What is that? That looks like a big cable. What is this? Who knows? What is all this stuff? What's this? It looks like a bag of cement. What is that? Has he taken the helmet off? No, it looks like the helmet is there. So this is not a helmet. What the hell is this? Don't know. Okay, what is this? Don't know. What else? What is this big weird thing here? Don't know. Must be very important. So, look, the cable is going, of course, from the battery, from this, the energy to send all the picture and the sound all the way to the Earth. Or all the way to the other lander, and then the other lander, the other LEM, send this over. Who knows? And this here is all true, and if you think it's not true, you're a conspiracy theorist. You probably think vaccinations are not safe. You're putting everyone in danger, and you think 9/11 was not done by Osama bin Laden, and you are crazy and you are an enemy of the state, and people should put you on a no-fly list and put you in jail. That's what should happen if you think that this is showing that they did not go to the moon. Either this, or they did not go to the moon, they don't have the power that they pretend like they have, satellite spying on you and all this, and it's all a bunch of bullshit. You really don't know very much about anything, apart from things you have experience of, and all the theories you have experience of are all just fairy tales. So, enjoy the rest of your life, and if you have a problem with this, don't have a big go at me, have a big go at NASA, and say to them, what have you been doing, you crazy bunch of people? Huh? Sending people in the moon with inside a cardboard box? What are you? Why are you laughing like this? Why? Stop laughing. Hey, I'm talking to you. So, there. I hope you enjoyed this little presentation. Go and look for the pictures yourself. You might think this was done for a school play, you know, but no, sadly no. This was not done for a school play. This was done by NASA for the American government and for you. And I hope you enjoy your ego exploding and screaming around inside your head, say, no, 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 it's not true, it's not true. And then you look at this, and your ego has to say, I know, fuck all. Okay, so, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this. Excuse my French. Bye-bye.
For me to believe anything about space, I need just the kind of evidence and proof I would need. You know, I would shut up. All they got, it's really easy, really, really easy. Just put, the International Space Station. Supposedly they send 2, 3, 4 cargo ships up, and they switch out the scientists. dump off a couple scientists, couple jump in, and then they come back.
Yeah,
They do that shit like 4 times a year. They make a lot of money off each run. They're like when they're in front of Congress, trying to get some more money. Like we need to go like 4 more times. Just can you sign that so we can go 4 more times? They're like, okay, 4 more times. Yeah. We're doing a lot of research. And we're going to save a lot of lives. They always say that, saving lives and research so that we can get further for humanity.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
So they like it. So I would shut the fuck up about all that shit if they would just take a GoPro and videotape the whole fucking thing, the whole process, getting into their little rocket, shooting up. I'll sit there and watch the whole fucking thing, and then show me you docking with that International Space Station. I'll want unedited, no cuts. Show it to me. If it takes 13, how long does it take for the rocket to take off?
It takes 2 hours to get into space from ground.
Really?
That's way too far or long. But anyways, how long does it take to dock onto the International
So it's basically
Space
one Joe Rogan podcast.
How long would that take?
A little bit, maybe. Technical terms, who knows? Maybe an hour.
Because the International Space Station is like 250 miles up, floating, but floating at 17,000 miles an hour. Did you know that? It's going 17,000 miles an hour. So something's going to dock on something going 17,000 miles an hour.
You get to the same speed. Haven't you seen those Red Bull guys that skydived out in the
You get to the same speed and then you dock at 17,000 miles an hour? You get to the same speed?
Well, the only thing
There is a moment.
to say about that is that you have planes that, as they fly, now 17,000
miles an hour.
How fast are these planes going?
About 600 miles an hour.
And they're able to refill.
Have you seen the footage of them refueling? And it's very, very, it's hard. There's like a tube and then like a big, like a funnel thing, and they're and then they gotta try again, and they we got it, boom, we got it.
Yeah.
And you telling me there's never been anybody dead from those dockings?
Pretty impressive, right?
17,000 miles an hour. So I would shut up. If all you had to do was just put a fucking camera on one of them helmets and just film the whole fucking thing, uncut. Do that, and then we're good. I'll shut the fuck up.
I can't argue with you. I've had this discussion with people. I haven't been to space. I'm not smart enough.
It's really simple. They lied about 6 moon missions, right? A Nazi directed all 6 moon missions, Werner von Braun. It's fucking out of a comic book. Come on.
Yeah.
So from that point on, for me to believe anything about space, you have to give me some really, really, it has to be unfakeable.
Right.
Like whatever you show me, is it possible that was faked? If it's possible that you could fake that, then I can't buy it.
Well,
it's got to be unfakeable for me because they've already fucked up. They already lost my trust.
Well,
6 moon missions and all that International Space Station shit and the space shuttle and all that shit. Come on. I can't believe shit.
I was hanging out with the lead singer of Eagles of Death Metal and a really great band who loves conspiracy. They're big fans of the show Black Pussy, and they get so much shit now because like people and white women show up and protest their show because they're called Black Pussy. And I'm like, well, what is racist about that? But anyways, that's a different show. So all I did was we just watched NASA videos and all this bullshit. And then there's this famous quote from somebody who used to run NASA, and they're like, and the quote is, we didn't lie about some things, we've lied about everything. And it's a quote from a guy who used to run NASA. Now, here's the thing that I would like anybody who is saying that Eddie's crazy or we're crazy to explain to me, and here, look at Aaron's just popping up like the neighbor from fucking Tool Time over there. Tell me why you would destroy the evidence after all these moon missions. Why are you, all the evidence, all the statistic stuff's all gone? Imagine if a police force did that after a murder of somebody you loved or a violent crime. And they said, oh, we destroyed all the evidence. People's heads
would explode if that had happened. If the police did what NASA did, nobody would accept that. That would be unacceptable. People would lose their jobs. People would be thrown in jail. If you just destroyed evidence, which there is no reason for, of these missions to space, you should be losing your jobs. Is there any honest reason to destroy the evidence? Anybody?
Yeah. People think, I think everything's fake. But when you realize that we've been lied to about everything when it comes to space, the most important stuff, the moon missions, space shuttle. Space shuttle is just a high altitude airplane. That shit didn't go into space. That shit wasn't floating. ISS.
Oh, dude, don't even get me started with the fucking 6 people from NASA that are still from that Challenger that they think are still alive.
Well, this brings me, what is the chance that we start a GoFundMe? We get Eddie's passport to Russia. You get into a Russian.
No, it's really simple. It's way easier. This will cost $19.95. A little GoPro camera.
I'm listening.
They go into the space station all the goddamn time. They don't have to do nothing. They could shut everybody down. Just give me an uncut video of the astronauts getting onto the rocket and docking and getting on and off. Show me that and I'll shut up.
Awesome. You heard it, NASA. Eddie Bravo's asked for it. We want Tesla's voice and we want some footage.
Here it
uncut,
is, dude.
unedited.
Here it is, man. This is the guy. If you go to war crimes, wariscrime.com, it says NASA. We didn't lie about some things. We lied about everything.
And is that written or did someone say it?
Hold on, I'm looking at I'm getting it going. I got to connect. But I'll find it by the end of the night. So let's get into this because Eddie hit me up. Eddie's like, because, I just put this shit out about NASA and how all these Challenger astronauts are still alive. And everyone's like, dude, it's just coincidence. So you're telling me it's just coincidence that 6 people on the Challenger, that there are doppelgangers, not only with the same name, but the exact same looks, and they're all part of one group of 6 people. Is that what you're telling me? That these people have the exact same name, and they all look exactly like these people that all died in this one group of people. It's not a random group of people. It's not like suddenly I just pick 8 people walking down the street and go, hey, dude, you have a doppelganger, same name. It's these 6 same people with the exact same names. With 2 of them having twins that there's no record of them ever having twins before. What I think happened is they sent that shuttle up and it exploded, and now they're like, fuck, man, we got 6 astronauts here who are fucking supposed to be on a shuttle that just exploded. And it's just like, I mean, dude, I can't get an explanation for this. And people go, fucking.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Have you seen all the photos of them before, too?
Or they knew the whole time and it was part of the mission. Maybe they, either way. Either they were supposed to go on a space shuttle mission.
Yeah.
And it blew up accidentally.
That's what I'm thinking.
Or they wanted to blow it up for a purpose. Like they go, we're going to launch something, blow it up. And that accomplishes something.
Or you get sympathy.
Man, it could have been an accident. And they're like, oh shit, these motherfuckers. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So if it didn't blow up, they could have just landed and said they came back. Yeah. You know what? I've seen that, and I'm totally, I buy it about 90%. The only thing is it's always the same picture of them, the older picture.
Oh, you mean like how they
Maybe
look?
that's Photoshop picture. Maybe.
But my point is you can Google each one of these people and find the actual picture of them. I've Googled them. These are all real people. They have LinkedIn's, they have job, they're they're professors at schools. Their pictures are there. You can Google each one of these people and find out that is their name, and that's what they look like.
So basically what you're saying is
what would
so
be
nobody
purpose?
So maybe one theory could be every time they send up a space shuttle, it's the same crew, these hardcore dudes that know how to drive or fly high altitude planes. No need to take these scientists up. There's no need. No one's going to see shit. They fly. They pretend they fly up. They land, and then they bullshit and say they were up there and all the experiments they did, and they keep doing that. Every time they do that, that's fucking $35 billion. Boom, every time, boom, we do another one. Can we do 2 more this year? Boom, just faking it. And then boom, one of them blows up.
Yeah, now they got to buy.
Fuck.
But they don't kill these people because they're all part of the thing.
Yeah, so they say,
they're
okay.
like, hey, listen, so we have 2 options here. Either you guys never mention this again, or we kill you and all your family. Those are your options right here. So, and one guy they can't find. Maybe that guy after time was like, dude, we got to tell. And now they don't know where he is. And he's the only one in that they can't find anybody with.
But the crazy thing about that is,
dude, they're
what
making
about the people that know them?
$55 million a year. I mean, a day. NASA spends $55 million a day.
Truth has nothing to do with the number of people who are convinced of it.
If you are 40 years or older, you may remember January 28, 1986. It was the day of a huge NASA catastrophe off the coast of Cape Canaveral, Florida, where at 11:38 a.m. EST, 73 seconds after takeoff, Space Shuttle Challenger exploded in a tremendous burst over the Atlantic. All 7 crew members were killed, 5 NASA astronauts and the 2 payload specialists. Millions of Americans, 17% of the total population, were watching the launch live on TV due to payload specialist Krista McAuliffe, the first teacher in space. The media coverage of the explosion was extensive. The study reveals that 85% of the Americans questioned had heard of the accident within the hour. The whole world was in a state of shock, and the whole world mourned and took part in the funerals of the Space Shuttle victims. The failure of an O-ring gasket of the right-hand side solid fuel booster was the cause of the explosion. The shuttle did not dispose of an ejector seat system, and the impact on the ocean surface was too severe for anyone to survive. The catastrophe led to a 32-month pause in the NASA shuttle program, and by appointment of President Ronald Reagan, the Rogers Commission was created, a special committee to investigate the accident. These are the names of the 7 crew members of the Challenger. First, Francis Richard Scobie, Commander. Second, Michael John Smith, pilot. Third, Ronald McNair, mission specialist. Fourth, Alison Onizuka, mission specialist. Fifth, Judith Resnick, mission specialist. Sixth, Gregory Jarvis, payload specialist. Seventh, Krista McAuliffe, payload specialist.
And now, the unbelievable. A well-known proverb says, if something looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, and behaves like a duck, then it probably is a duck. For a second time, this matter leaves the world breathless. Though this latest shock even surpasses the one 30 years ago. At least 6 of the 7 Challenger crew members are supposed to be alive still. 4 of them even with the same name. Here is the evidence to review.
First, Francis Richard Scobie, commander of the Space Shuttle Challenger.
Francis Richard Scobie, born May 19, 1939, commander of the Space Shuttle Challenger. Exactly 30 years after the Challenger crashed, he was spotted as a CEO of Cows and Trees, which was and today still is a marketing advertising agency in Chicago. When you take a look at these two pictures, you can see at least 3 features that show a strong resemblance. First, the same high forehead and the same eyebrows, and also the eyes facing slightly downwards at their outer corners. And all this always with his middle name Richard and the same age. You can find the picture on the right side, also on his LinkedIn page. When visiting the Cows and Trees website, which I've opened here, you come across an animation with a rocket-driven cow. And the dust swirled around forms the number 6. The whole thing reminds strongly the Space Shuttle Challenger on TV when it exploded in midair. Just how black would such a humor be?
Second, Michael J. Smith, pilot of the Challenger.
Born on the 13th of April 1945, pilot of the Challenger. Michael J. Smith, 41 years old when he lost his life 30 years ago because of the explosion. The man on the picture to the right also bears the name Michael John Smith, and he's exactly 30 years older now. The resemblance with the astronaut Michael John Smith is striking. The same horizontal eyebrows, the same grey-blue eyes, the same vertical indentation on the tip of his nose. We are talking of an emeritus professor for industry and system engineering at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Michael John Smith's email address is mjsmith@k.wisc.edu.
Third, Ronald McNair, mission specialist of the Challenger.
Born on October 21, 1950, Ronald McNair was the second Afro-American astronaut with a doctor's degree in physics. The 66-year-old Carl McNair on the right looks just as Ronald would look today. One day this fact attracted the attention of some American citizens. When addressing him about the astonishing resemblance, it is said that he responded spontaneously that he was the twin brother of the killed astronaut. As the resemblance was more than striking in every aspect, some fellow citizens began to doubt this assertion. Because they did not just want to put out empty allegations, they began to investigate. Previously, it was not known that the late Ronald McNair had a twin brother. However, there was a lot to discover about Carl McNair. For example, that he is an author, an educational consultant, and an inspired speaker. That he is the founder and retired president of the Ronald E. McNair Foundation, which he had established in honor of his deceased brother. One detail, however, could not be clarified at the time of that investigation. There are no indications for a twin brother of Ronald McNair named Carl from before 1986.
Here's the report of the research of a free journalist.
On Ancestry.com I have performed a search for a Carl McNair, who claims to be the brother of the astronaut Ronald McNair. Carl S. McNair's LinkedIn page mentions December 16th as his birthday. On Wikipedia, Ronald McNair's parents are Carl C. and Pearl M. McNair. So I searched Ancestry.com for any birth or baptism records for a Carl McNair born on December 16th, whose father is Carl McNair and Pearl McNair his mother. Search results. In the birth certificates of Texas between 1903 and 1932, there's only the record of Herschel John McNair, born on October 12th in Rosewood, Upshur, whose father's name was William McNair and his mother's was Pearl McNair. In other words, according to Ancestry.com, there's no Carl McNair, brother of Ronald McNair. Here's the screenshot of the respective page of Ancestry.com with a timestamp in the lower right-hand corner. 10:18 a.m. on 5th of September 2015, circled in red. Just to make sure, I redid the search for Carl McNair. This time I have limited the search to Carl McNair with a father named McNair and a mother called Pearl. I found no Carl McNair whose father's last name was McNair and whose mother's first name was Pearl.
Fourth, Alison Onizuka, mission specialist of the Challenger.
Another mission specialist of the Challenger, Alison Onizuka, was the first Japanese-American astronaut. He too was supposed to have shown up in public after the Challenger catastrophe. When asked how on earth he could still be alive, he supposedly defended himself pretending to be Claude, the twin brother of the deceased astronaut Alison Onizuka. As his assertion was not seen to be credible, some fellow citizens set out for research about a twin brother of the astronaut. The astronaut Alison Onizuka was born in Hawaii on the 24th of June. At the time of that research, there was no birth register containing a twin brother Claude. Claude allegedly claimed to be the younger brother of Alison Onizuka. If Alison was still alive today, he would look exactly like his younger brother Claude on this picture. The same eyebrows, same eyes, same crow's feet wrinkles, same nose, even the same hair parting. Claude Onizuka is a board member of the Department of Liquor Control, County of Hawaii, Hilo, Hawaii.
Resulting from another more extensive research by an eyewitness.
I also asked Ancestry.com to search for the birth records of a Claude Onizuka, the alleged brother of the astronaut Alison Onizuka. According to Wikipedia's entry on Alison Onizuka, his father was the late lamented Masamitsu Onizuka. His mother is Mitsu Onizuka. Result of the search? Your search for Claude Onizuka returned 0 good matches. Here's the screenshot of the birth register. Just to be sure, I redid the search for Claude Onizuka, this time without specifying the names of the parents. There were 36 results, none of which was Claude Onizuka. In other words, according to Ancestry.com, at the time of this research, no one named Claude Onizuka had ever been born in the United States.
Fifth, Judith Resnick, mission specialist of the Challenger.
Judith Arlene Resnick, born on April 5, 1949. What of importance can be said about her? With a PhD in electrical engineering, she was a mission specialist of the Challenger. She was the second female American astronaut and the first Jewish American astronaut to fly in space. And now comes the interesting part. At Yale Law School, there is a chair held by a professor named Judith Resnick. The same name, this may occasionally happen. However, not only is it remarkable that now she is exactly 30 years older than the astronaut Judith Resnick when she was killed. She has exactly the same name, the same appearance, and the same voice as the deceased astronaut. And what is she doing at the Yale Law School? She's a professor of law for the Arthur Lehman program. Now, let's return to compare the pictures. Like the astronaut Judith Resnick, this professor has dark, curly hair, dark eyes, the same shaped eyebrow, and the same lines on both sides of the face extending up from the jaw. What else can we see? Their mouth, the way they look, and their gestures are exactly the same. Here is another picture to compare. Look here at her mouth. The upper lip of both Judith Resnicks form a slight peak when they speak. Do you see this? And is all this at random or coincidental? Hereinafter, 2 elaborate investigations are presented about Judith Resnick as witness reports. Whoever compares the voices of astronaut Judith Resnick 30 years ago, along with Professor Judith Resnick, comes to the conclusion it's about one and the same woman. So let's finally listen to this voice comparison. Judith Resnick before and after 30 years.
Well, I too am glad to be here one more time, and I am hoping that the affliction that Steve Hawley had from the 41D mission specialist of the delays hasn't rubbed off on me. And
there were fewer than 40 federal judges around the United States, and they didn't need a building of their own. They were tucked into facilities like this. And, of course, what the U.S. government did was this was a form of tax, and Marine hospitals, health care.
And I think the guys behind me are hoping that it hasn't also. Otherwise, they might throw me.
What happens, of course, is the Civil War, and with the Civil War and the North conquest of the South.
Otherwise, they might throw me off the flight.
The U.S. federal government owned
and I will now introduce
about 50 buildings
around
the entire
hoping that it has,
United
as they might
States.
Throw me
And
off
none
the flight.
Are all these inconsistencies pure coincidences, or is it about a worldwide deception of enormous proportions?
One must not mistake the majority for the truth.
Sixth, Sharon Christa McAuliffe, payload specialist of the Challenger.
On September 2nd, 1948, Sharon Christa McAuliffe was born. She too was one of the astronauts killed on the Challenger. She was a teacher for social studies at Concord High School in New Hampshire, where she was selected from more than 11,000 applicants to participate in the NASA project Teacher in Space. If the Challenger had not exploded, she would have been the first teacher in outer space. Had she not died in the Challenger disaster, McAuliffe would be 68 years old today. In the course of the research about the space shuttle deception, also for Sharon McAuliffe, apparently an exact double was found with the same looks and, believe it or not, with the same name. Even considering the 30 added years, this exceptional professor of law at Syracuse University looks exactly the same as the astronaut McAuliffe. But not only does she look identical, but she is also exactly the same age. Note also the details, for example, how her hair growth extends from the center of her hairline to the left of her forehead. This same lawyer, Sharon A. McAuliffe, who works for Syracuse Law School in New York State, is also a cousin of Virginia's governor, Terry McAuliffe. And he in turn had supported the re-election of Clinton and the election of his wife Hillary as her campaign chairman. Furthermore, he stood up for the support of NASA, in particular for the matter of the rocket launching site on Wallops Island, Virginia, in the Atlantic Ocean.
In all these researches, it is important to state that it would be one thing if a single crew member of the Challenger would resemble to a person still alive. That could be dismissed as a mere coincidence. But it is quite a different thing if 6 members from one and the same Challenger crew have a look-alike, living in one and the same country, and in not less than 4 cases even have the same name. The rough guess of a physics teacher is summarizing this probability with the following figures and illustrations. By using a binomial distribution, one can ascertain how likely it is that an event with this probability occurs 4 times within 10 years. Roughly guessed, this leads to a probability of about 10 raised to the power of minus 160. For comparison, the probability of being hit from space debris is indicated by computing experts with a probability of about 6 times 10 raised to the power of minus 13. So it is more likely to be hit by some comet fragments 7 times in your life than such a collection of lookalikes would come about. But probably this figure is even much higher. What kind of people would the NASA be composed of if they are able to lie deliberately and to bluff a whole world for more than 30 years? After all, the NASA is an institution which is devouring multi-digit billion-dollar amounts of tax money and private donations every year. What does it mean if not less than 4 elite universities would be involved only in the worldwide space shuttle fraud? The following questions must be absolutely clarified. Who else could be involved into this fraud? considering all the astronauts presumed dead would then be found as lawyers, jurists, financial experts, etc. So if the entire NASA, astronauts and professors of law, in other words, elite instructors, of teachers, etc., would be involved in a global fraud, who else in addition to that? Where's the seventh astronaut, Gregory Jarvis? Is he still alive? For the clarification of all these endless questions, humanity depends upon its own help. Whoever is capable to help is welcome to participate in the clarification of all the problems addressed in this film. According to eyewitness reports from NASA insiders, the NASA did not only lie in some ways, but in every way. A NASA insider reveals.
When I was talking with the gentleman from Belcom, and we were discussing the lie, everything he was telling me was different from what we were being told was the truth. And at one point I asked him, I said, man, you guys, you lied about a lot, didn't you? And instantly he said, no, we didn't lie about certain things, we lied about everything. None of it was true.
Repeatedly in their advertisement films, NASA boasted that their space flights created jobs, first of all in the industry. But now the most urgent question is this: which jobs in exactly which industry? At least in the spaceflight industry, various NASA astronauts were not taking an active part during the Great Moon or Space Shuttle flights. So a NASA insider recently claimed that he cannot take part anymore for his conscience sake in the whole worldwide deception, as he calls it. He says that the NASA does not lie to the world only in some aspects, but in every single aspect. Because of similar testimonies of other NASA insiders, freelance journalists took a kind of a crucial test. With a Bible in their hand, they placed themselves in front of all these famous hyped astronauts and let them swear on the Bible that they really had been on the moon and had not been lying to the world. But listen and watch for yourself.
And like this, all astronauts reacted when being asked.
You want me to knock you in the head?
Well, I want you to swear to God on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Okay.
If you walked on the moon, we're given the opportunity to swear to God that you walked on the moon.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to get the hell knocked out of you if you don't leave me alone.
So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Several, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
You really like it, don't you? You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief. You're a coward and a liar. You're a coward and a liar.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy. Why don't you talk to the administrator in NASA? We're passengers. We're guys going on a flight.
I don't hit people, but you're going to be on the deck unless you get...
I'm heading out. I appreciate it.
And get the hell out of the black house.
Well, I take your stuff and get the fuck out. Why don't you quote me and say it's bullshit?
And the shadows in the wrong place. I don't give a damn about all that shit.
This is full of shit.
Of lunar orbit being falsified.
Being falsified?
Correct. We've got an unedited tape from a source at the Johnson Space Center.
That's totally nonsense. Mr. Seibel, you do not deserve answers. If you show this publicly, you're open for a lawsuit. Okay?
All these reactions also endorse the suspicion that there seems to be something really fishy in the whole of NASA operations. Where were all these astronauts staying during their famed space missions? And what are the objectives pursued? Were they only on vacation at the expense of taxpayers and investors? Probably not. But which are the imaginings all these people are realizing during their world-famous moon and space flights when they are not on board of a rocket?
Therefore, the world public would have to ask the following questions. How many pictures taken by NASA are actually real? Which of the pictures are faked? Is the entire scientific worldview incorrect? Which branches of science are lying as well? Where went all those trillions of dollars of donations and tax money if it was not used for the pretended purpose? Which mass media are involved? Had the mass media been fooled, or are they part of the fraud? Which global corporations are also involved? What about the moon, if the whole story of the moon landing has been faked? What number of government bodies, legal institutions, military people and secret services are part of it? How many universities, faculties, law schools, economic sectors and so on are involved? Klagemauer TV thanks you in advance for all relevant information.
Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields of bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning.
Now listen to me very carefully. Every one of us truthers out here are going to disappear. At best 10 years from now, there's going to be maybe 1 or 2% left. That's it. And it's not because YouTube kicked us out or anything like that. It's going to be because YouTube marginalized us so much that a bunch of us just gave up. Like, I'll tell you straight up right now, there's never going to be a truther in this flat earth community that's going to reach over 1 million subscribers. It's never going to happen. What did you think? You were going to control the narrative on their platform? Comes down to the golden rule. He who has all the gold makes the rules. I don't know which one of these videos is going to be my last message to the world, but I basically am an auto hoaxer. Meaning when I see something in the news, it's probably a fucking lie. The world is a stage. It's crazy to say that in this day and age, but every one of us is being mind-fucked to oblivion. Everywhere you look, people just want to be comfortable. I made the conscious decision a long time ago. I'm willing to freeze to death for what I believe in. I don't like what this world's become, but there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it neither. So basically, this is a message to that one son of a bitch in charge of it all. If you do happen to hear my video, I'm basically making this video with the hope that the head Illuminati member himself is listening. And that if I ever had the privilege and opportunity to meet that person in public or private, I would just like to say that what is the point of being a rich man in a poor world? Wouldn't every penny you have more value if you were a rich man in a rich man's world? And what the fuck is with the 33 symbology everywhere? How lame can you fucking be? It's like a bad joke that's been told so many times it's funny, but then it's not funny anymore. It's like, shut the fuck up. Your fucking 33 symbology everywhere. I really just want a national holiday where it's like beat the fuck out of a Mason Day. You people as individuals may be good people, but your organization is the scum of the earth. What is it, like 2 to 5 million of you out there? Is that what it is? You get yours. It's inevitable. Whatever you do in this lifetime, you pay for it here, not the next. Okay? Fuck your religion. Whatever you do in this lifetime, you pay for it here, not the next, motherfuckers. You're going to be exposed to the max. Shit's going to go down. You're not going to like this game. There's a quickening taking place that you can't stop. And you know something? By the end of this, if you guys are hunted down by society, I'm not even going to blink an eye. You deserve what you get. I'm not saying they should hunt you down, but if it happens, I'm going to give zero fucks. That's what kind of revolution I want. The kind where everybody's awake to this bullshit taking place and they're not going to take it anymore. Imagine that, the whole world awake to your bullshit. I hope your lodges are demolished, abandoned, and destroyed. I hope there's a backlash against Freemasons everywhere so fierce that you never recover, ever. And I guess it's because of videos like this and people like me why Flat Earth is so fucking dangerous. Yeah. Because your organization is the root cause of all the problems in this world. And I want the world to know that. Let's see how long this video stays up before you Freemasons over there at Google headquarters take me down. Because you already put a limiter on my subscription count. I notice every time I hit 4,000, I get knocked down 50 to 100 subs at a time. Really? You wipe Russian vids off the face of the earth. It is my goal now to get kicked off YouTube. And I don't want you to do it through copyright infringement bullshit. You do it legit. You just fucking cancel my channel. Go ahead, do it. I want you to do it. I'm asking you, fucking alphabet soup, do it. Because you know if you don't, I'm going to put the seed of revolution in these people's minds. So pick your poison. It's not an ultimatum, it's a promise. Let's just put it this way. We in the truth community are basically at war with Freemason from level 33 and above, Grand Master General level. But basically we're at war with all of them because the ones at the bottom are too stupid to understand what the fuck they're involved with. They're organized and they're ancient, but we have truth on our side. And this is the beginning of the war to end all wars, motherfuckers. You ever go up against an 800-pound gorilla? Welcome to King Kong, the American public. And if I can find a spark to wake them up, they're about to fuck you up. One thing I learned growing up in a tough neighborhood, when you got somebody on the run, you never let down. You never let down in a dogfight. Ever. So you better ban me now, YouTube, because all I need is one spark to start this forest fire that you can't put out. You better do it, because only you can prevent forest fires.
How do we know the Earth is not flat?
Ground control to Major Tom.
Wait, I thought I was ground control.
Ground control to Major Tom.
In space so long, his mind is gone.
Lock your Soyuz hatch and put your helmet on.
Wait, am I really supposed to be Major Tom? My what hatch? Over! What helmet? Over! Where's the helmet? What happens if I don't put it on? Why don't you answer me? Help me, Chris Hadfield! Help me!
This is Major Tom to ground control.
Wait, now you're Major Tom?
I've left forevermore.
Okay, I'm ground control. This set makes sense now.
And I'm floating in a most peculiar way.
Papa, what are you doing up there?
And the stars look very different today.
If I'm ground control, you guys should really listen to me.
Here am I sitting in the tin can. Far above the world.
Seriously, guys, you're being jerks.
Planet Earth is blue.
You know what I think I'm through.
We don't. It's flat.
So many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space?
Can you be more specific? Air bubbles?
Bubbles in space. Bubbles in space. This summer, get ready.
Could it be that you're filming in an underwater pool and you're not really out there?
Got us.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look out at the Earth, especially when you're in space for long periods of time, there's a couple of things that I think about. One is the atmosphere looks incredibly flat. The atmosphere looks incredibly flat. The atmosphere looks incredibly flat, looks incredibly flat, looks incredibly flat, 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 flat.
The kisses of the sun were sweet, I didn't blink, I let it in my eyes.
Practice makes perfect. Give me another week.
You look like you're in a studio, maybe in Omaha, Nebraska or something. The shot is so clear. Is this a hoax? Are you really in space still?
I don't know. We're going to have to do something for you.
I want to do it. Oh, yeah.
In a little town called York, Maine, across the United States from where we're talking to you right now. Across the United States from where we're talking to you right now. Across the United States from where we're talking to you right now.
I'm personally thankful for my friends and family, especially my wife and children. And I'm looking forward to seeing them here soon.
You ever tried to talk to people about NASA? Huh. Like banging your head on a brick wall, right? Well, this song is all about that. Sometimes it's best just to keep your mouth shut, right? And don't talk about NASA at all. Listen up. When I started talking about NASA, I lost all my friends. So I don't want to talk about NASA ever again. My friends don't understand me, and I wish they would. I tried to tell them about NASA, but it don't do no good. No, I don't want to talk about NASA ever again. 'Cause every time I talk about NASA, I lose another one of my friends. Yeah, every time I open my stupid mouth, something about NASA comes flying out. No, I ain't gonna talk about NASA
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can tell people about Nasser, but you can't make them think. Well, they look at me and they roll their eyes, but they shake their head, 'cause they believe the papers and the TV instead. No, I don't want to talk about Nasser ever again, 'cause every time I talk about Nasser, I lose another one of my friends. Yeah, every time I open my stupid mouth, something about Nasser comes flying out. No, I ain't gonna talk about Nasser again. See, I just want my friends to know all of Nasser's lies. I hope one day my friends wake up and they realize. But I feel like I'm banging my head on a wall every single time. If I just got me a bunch of new friends, then I'll be doing fine. No, I don't want to talk about Nasser ever again, 'cause every time I talk about Nasser, I lose another one of my friends. Yeah, every time I open my stupid mouth, something about Nasser comes flying out. No, I ain't gonna talk about Nasser again. So I went down to the local bar to meet me a bunch of new friends. Well, I had myself just a couple of beers and started talking about Nasser again. Well, things got kinda ugly, and I was punched to the floor. No, I ain't gonna talk about Nasser no more. No, I don't wanna talk about Nasser ever again, 'cause every time I talk about Nasser, I lose another one of my friends. Yeah, every time I open my stupid mouth, something about Nasser comes flying out. No, I ain't gonna talk about Nasser again. One more time, boys. No, I don't want to talk about Nasser, no, ever again. 'Cause every time I talk about Nasser, I lose another one of my friends. Yeah, every time I open my stupid mouth, something about Nasser comes flying out. No, I ain't gonna talk about Nasser ever again.
Shut your fucking anus. You don't know fuck all about your fucking astronomy up there if you say that this Earth is not fucking made of flat parallel fields, 3 of them, and that it ain't surrounded by spheres that fucking give you the illusion of a big sun and moon. You're a fucking idiot. And you ain't being worth being listened to no more than those fucking retards at NASA that got to go, okay, let's kibosh the truth here, because if people know there's an immense field of darkness up there beyond those luminaries, and that there's an impenetrable field that they can't breach, they're fucked. They're fucked. No more are they worth listening to. Their fucking bullshit about landing on the moon just got exposed. Their bullshit about landing on the sun got exposed. Their bullshit about galaxies, fucking solar systems, and universes is bullshit. Everybody be fucking smoking or whatever they do, the DMT molecule, the fucking spirit molecule, because that's the closest thing you're going to get to leaving this fucking universe, brother. Game over.